Using to negotiate with President Trump on U.S. tariffs. In fact, the nation is taking the trade war to a new height.
Inside this factory in southern China, Ace Headwear is trying to keep up with both demand and this week's seismic change to global trade.
Because we're seeing the price data for March showed China's in a deflationary spiral. You know, CPI down 2 straight months, PPI, factory gate prices, down 30 straight months. That is inconsistent with the notion of a robust economy. Plus also they got their debt crisis. Their 2008 in slow motion is occurring now. You got the collapse in the property prices that have already occurred. And the other thing is that Xi Jinping has turned his back on consumption as the basis of the Chinese economy. So his only way out is to export more. President Trump has just closed off the world's biggest consumer market by far. I mean, I don't know what Xi Jinping's going to do because Chinese factories have been closing now, and this is just a crisis for him.
When 245% tariff was announced on Chinese goods, we knew that it would kill any trade between two countries. And that's exactly what's happening. Chinese factories are shutting down, workers are getting laid off, and business owners are going bankrupt. This is something CCP was not expecting. In fact, according to Goldman Sachs, as many as 20 million Chinese workers could lose their jobs because of a likely sudden plunge in exports. American companies are canceling orders by the millions, and China cannot replace that kind of demand, and that's why the economy is struggling. Here we have one business owner sharing how his factory went from making a profit to losing money overnight because of these tariffs.
The business owners in Shaoxing are breaking down. These 145% tariffs. Did Trump even use a calculator to come up with that? You buy goods worth $100, but first you have to pay $145 in tariffs to US Customs. Mr. Wong from the textile factory had $200,000 in costs for a shipment of polyester fabric. They used to make a profit of $50,000 selling to the US. But now with the new tariffs, he's losing $40,000. Mr. Wong was crying in front of his warehouse, and now no one even wants the cloth, not even for dish rags. Many other owners have also had their cash flow cut off and orders are being cancelled. What should we do now?
Now, as many of you guys may already know, CCP spends more than $30 billion every single year just to push their pro-CCP propaganda. Now, they do this inside and outside China, including foreign countries in the West. That means there are hundreds of CCP bot farms that downvote any videos that are critical of the communist government. That's why if you guys can do me a quick favor and hit that like and subscribe button down below, it really helps us out in counteracting the CCP bots. You see, for a factory, order cancellations are basically a death sentence. It's not just about losing money. They could literally lose their business. They could lose their livelihood if they get enough of orders cancelled. And for us to understand this, we need to understand how these factories operate. Let's say you're a big t-shirt company and you want to manufacture your t-shirts in China to save some money in manufacturing. This was before all the tariffs and stuff, okay? Let's just assume that. Now, what you would do is you'd find a factory that can handle the amount you're trying to order. Let's say $1 million of t-shirts. So you would place an order for $1 million, but you wouldn't pay them $1 million. You would usually pay them anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 as a deposit so they can get started on your order and start manufacturing it. This is where the factory business gets a little bit too risky, at least for my liking. You see, usually factories don't have very high margins. They make anywhere from 5% to 15% on an order. So when they get $1 million order, they are expecting to make anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000 in profits. What that means is they need to put in roughly $850,000 of their own money to buy materials, buy all the stuff they need to produce the t-shirts for this order. But remember, they didn't get $1 million from the customer. They only got $100,000. That means they have to put up rest of the money from their own pocket or take out a bank loan. Usually these factories don't make a lot of margins on their orders. That means they usually don't have a lot of cash, so they usually take out a bank loan, and the plan is that once they make these t-shirts, they will ship it out, and when those t-shirts usually arrive at their destination, they'll get paid $1 million, and then they will take that $1 million, pay out the bank, pay out the workers, and hopefully have some money left over as profit. This is how the business is supposed to work in good times. times. But in times like these, when tariffs are going up overnight, orders start getting canceled. But these factory owners, they have already put in their money, or they have already taken out bank loans to fund all the orders they had. That means now they're stuck with the merchandise and they don't have the money that they were promised for producing all this merchandise. This is why so many factories are going under in China, because a lot of these factory owners took out loans to produce all this merchandise, and now they cannot sell it. They cannot send it to the person who ordered it. So they are basically eating the loss, and some people can't afford to eat the loss, so they are declaring bankruptcy. And worse yet, a lot of the workers who worked for these factories are not getting paid. This is what CCP is extremely worried about.
Once the tariffs went up, the factory turned into a retirement home. This time last year, the machines were deafening. Now, not even rats come around. 2 million yuan worth of goods are stacked up like mountains, and no one wants them, not even for free. The workers sit outside in the sun all day, and I'm paying their basic wages out of my own pocket. The bank is hounding me every day over the loan. If this keeps up for another 3 months, these machines will be worth nothing but scrap. The Americans raise tariffs without a second thought, but it's killing those of us in real industry. Today is April 10th. US tariffs have surged to a staggering 145%. Many friends running OEM factories for American brands told me all their US orders were canceled. Even completed goods are being rejected, and shipments that already reached the port are being pulled back. Some shameless clients are even demanding their deposits back. When disaster hits, it's always the factories left holding the bag. No client is willing to shoulder the burden of these tariffs, and none of them care whether the factory has already paid for the materials. Clients may lose a small deposit, but the losses for factories go far beyond that. In Shantou, Guangdong, a toy and gift manufacturer said they have received no orders from the United States this year.
Now, the bigger manufacturers are struggling the most in a time like this because they're getting hit with orders that are worth tens of millions of dollars, sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're getting hit with cancellations now, which they literally cannot afford to have canceled. They have put in too much money, they have taken out too big of loans, and if an order like that gets canceled, the businesses go under. Once you start to read these stories, you really start to feel for the people who are losing their businesses overnight, a business that was likely thriving just a few weeks ago and now it's going under. But then we have to remember that a lot of these big businesses, they did not operate fairly when they were dealing with US partners. You see, how China works is they don't have any IP laws. They don't respect IP laws of other countries. Let's do another example to understand this. Let's say you just come up with some brand new product that's just life-changing, right? It's making every American's life better, so everyone's buying your product. Slowly your sales keep on climbing up and you're becoming a big business. You finally have a product that resonates with the market. Now all of a sudden there are a bunch of knockoffs that come to the market that start selling cheaper than you. Who are these people? Well, these are the big manufacturing companies from China. This is a big part of their business. They don't just take in orders from American clients, which of course they do depend on, but they also knock off American products. Any successful product that's just getting started out, they'll just take that design, make that same product and sell it here in America. You can try suing them, but the Chinese system doesn't respect your patent. The Chinese system is not going to go after a company that CCP has part ownership in. Remember, every single company in China is state controlled. So basically, these are state-sanctioned robbery that Chinese businesses were carrying out for decades and decades. They would just knock off American products, steal from American founders, and then sell it to American customers, all the while facing no punishment. And this is exactly what the tariffs are about. Level the playing field. If Chinese businesses can come to America and sue American businesses for breaking laws, American businesses should be able to go to China and sue Chinese businesses for breaking American laws. It should be both ways, or no one should be able to sue each other. That's what it means to have free and fair competition. What China has right now is not capitalism. They have something called mercantilism, where they want access to everyone else's market while they don't want to open up their own market to other countries' companies. Now, of course, the people who are truly suffering are the average Chinese citizens. and they're suffering because of the actions CCP took, because of the decisions CCP made. It's not just about 20 million Chinese workers who are expected to lose their jobs. It's also now about 12 million Chinese graduates who are expected to enter the workforce in a job market that's shrinking every single day. That means that all these graduates are gonna have a very hard time finding a job. In fact, calling it hard would be an understatement. Here I have an example for you guys where one graduate shares her story. She has applied to 8,000 jobs and she has had no success so far. Here's the clip.
I'm a liberal arts master's graduate from the class of 2025. From last year's fall recruitment season up until this spring's recruitment season, all the way through April, I still haven't been able to land a single job. I've sent out around 8,000 resumes. I attended every single job fair during the fall season. Maybe people think I'm too old, or maybe it's other reasons, but honestly, it just feels incredibly hard to find a job as a liberal arts master's graduate. I don't know if it's because the overall job market is really that bad, or if it's something about me personally. During my time in grad school, I was constantly working hard. I received national scholarships, various academic and research design awards, and even participated in provincial level government design projects under my supervisor. And yet here I am, unable to find a job after graduation. My parents have invested so much in me over the years, so much sunk cost. Right now, I just feel like I've lost face, like I can't even bring myself to contact them. I've tried applying for all kinds of jobs, really anything at this point. It's just so difficult. I'm anxious all the time. I can't sleep. I try to keep myself busy every day, but I can't shake the feeling that maybe my life is already ruined. The anxiety is constant, and I have no one to talk to. The only place I can open up a little is here on the internet.
So the question rises, what are the Chinese officials doing to help out their population? The answer is not much. Well, I guess I'm incorrect. We did have a former vice president say that the Chinese people can survive an entire year eating nothing but grass. I don't know if that's the kind of message these people who can't find a job are looking for. Now, of course, that's not all CCP is doing. They're also fighting back. They're trying to attack United States to show the Chinese people that CCP is not gonna go down without a fight. So you may be asking, what did CCP do now? Well, they banned Boeing from China. They basically told every single Chinese airline company to stop buying Boeing planes. Here's more details.
Cachet of companies being caught up in US President Donald Trump's trade war, in which at least Chinese goods, they're being imposed a tariff of up to 145%. Now, what we know this time is that the Chinese government has asked its carriers to stop taking delivery of Boeing aircraft in the meantime, and this extends to aircraft-related equipment and parts from US companies. Now, this order came last week just as China retaliated on the US with tariffs of 125%, and for the airlines it makes the economics of buying an aircraft more challenging. It doubles the cost, frankly, and we have heard these warnings from a number of airlines globally, from Delta to Ryanair recently, about the warnings of aircraft deliveries being delayed. But in this case, for China, given this rapidly evolving trade war dispute, we don't know yet if any of these positions would change in the next week or two.
Now, Xi Jinping is likely going to reverse this decision pretty soon. Otherwise, he's gonna have planes falling out of the sky in China like it's happening in Russia. And the reason I say this is not some black magic stuff. The reason is simple. China currently has over 200 Boeing planes in operations in the country. And these planes need Boeing parts, need Boeing equipment for their maintenance so they can continue flying safely. And without that maintenance, the planes will start falling out of the sky. And I don't think that's going to look good for the CCP, and that's exactly why Xi may have second thoughts about this decision. Now, it doesn't just stop there. on top of the planes that China already has. Chinese airlines had placed over hundreds and hundreds of orders for these Boeing planes that were expected to be delivered this year, next year, and in the coming years. Now, without those planes, the airlines cannot expand and they cannot fulfill the growing demand for air travel in China. That's definitely not going to help the economy. That's going to take a big hit because of all the tariffs. But all this is still not it. The biggest embarrassment from this decision is the fact that Xi Jinping himself flies in a Boeing. You see, the Chinese Air Force One, basically the Chinese presidential plane, is a Boeing 747. So, it's gonna be pretty hypocritical for Xi Jinping to tell every single airline in China that they cannot buy Boeing, all the while Xi Jinping himself is trusting Boeing with his own travels. Maybe because Boeing is likely safer than all the other Chinese options. Is this not the perfect example of China's trade policies? Rule for you, but not for me. That's basically what Xi Jinping is now telling the entire Chinese airline industry. Same thing that he's been telling the whole world. China wants everyone else to follow the World Trade Organization rules, but China does not want to follow them. Well, now people are calling it out, and now we want a fair deal.
The worst actor is China. With our help, China was admitted to the WTO, the World Trade Organization, on December 11th, 2001. China started cheating December the 12th. And we need, figuratively speaking, we need to call their hand and slap them to Pluto until they start abiding by fair trading rules. It won't be easy, but China will ultimately have no choice. China's economy is on a journey to the center of the earth. They buy 5 times more stuff, we buy 5 times more stuff from them than they sell to us, and they're an export economy, so they're going to have to come to the table at some point.
YouTube is growing so fast that it has just overtaken Netflix to become the most popular app on TV. That's just on TV, by the way. If you combine TV, phones, computers, tablets, people are spending an insane amount of time watching YouTube. This is exactly why YouTube is paying creators $45,000 per minute. That's $64 million every single day. So, if you have ever thought about starting a YouTube channel for yourself, now is the perfect time. And if you're looking to learn how people grow on YouTube in 2025, like this guy who got millions of views in just few months of starting a channel, then I have a solution for you. This weekend, I'm holding a free bootcamp for beginners where I will share all our YouTube advice and answer any question you have about growing on YouTube. If you're interested in learning from this bootcamp, you can sign up by clicking the link in the description or scanning the QR code on your screen.